こんにちは。NGB 特許ワールドツアーアメリカシリコンバレー編のナビゲーターを務めます NGB の増井です。私は入社16年目、現在外国特許意匠出願のハンドリングをしています。本日の訪問先はアメリカシリコンバレーのプロコピア事務所です。インタビューに応じていただくのはミク・メータ弁護士です。メータ弁護士は前事務所時代に当社に駐在していた経験があります。私が16年前に当社の入社試験を受けたとき、面接官をしていました。つまり私が当社に入社できたのはメータ弁護士のおかげだったということもできます。それではプロコピオ事務所に向かいましょう。Okay, Miku, please introduce yourself and tell us about your firm.
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, I am a partner based in the Silicon Valley office of Procopio Law Firm, and I head up the Asia Pacific practice group. We're a full-service law firm. We actually have about 6 offices based on the west coast of the United States. I myself have been practicing intellectual property law for about 20 years, and I practice mainly in the areas of software and computer electronics.
Can you please explain what makes Silicon Valley successful?
In Silicon Valley, we think of ourselves as being professionals that are part of a community of organizations rather than individuals that belong to individual companies, R&D centers, or law firms. It is this sense of community that allows us to create a network of personal and professional relationships that helps us to work together. Like Japan, Silicon Valley professionals in many ways are interested in continuous improvement, learning, and advancement of technology and research and development.
Miku, what has been your experience in working between Japan and Silicon Valley?
So, I've worked in Silicon Valley for the past 9 years, and before that, I worked in Japan for 8 years before that in the intellectual property profession. And based on my experience, I believe that the cross-border innovation between Japan and Silicon Valley is a significant driver of global economic growth. At a personal level, the professionals in both of our countries are very similar. We are engaged in continuous learning. We're always looking to improve, and we work together to achieve a greater sense of community.
Can you describe the business relationship between Silicon Valley and Japan?
So, Silicon Valley and Japan have been at the core of innovation of the Asia Pacific region for many decades, and our relations run very deep. In Silicon Valley alone, there are more than 200 subsidiaries and research development centers of Japanese corporations. Additionally, there are many CVCs, venture capitalists, and collaborators that are deeply embedded and intertwined in our Silicon Valley ecosystem. It is this historical relationship and forward-looking growth that will continue to drive the global economy in the future.
What are the key developments happening in Silicon Valley now that Japanese companies need to know about?
There are several issues that Japanese companies will need to focus on when doing business in Silicon Valley and in California generally, including export control, intellectual property and trade secrets, labor and employment, and privacy. In the area of export control compliance, we have seen a lot of changes in both the Obama and Trump administrations, and I expect we'll see a lot more changes in the future as well. These changes have broken down roughly into 3 main areas. One is deemed exports, which is the ability of U.S.-based entities to hire foreign nationals. Another is restrictions on export of certain technologies, such as artificial intelligence, to overseas offices, including headquarters of U.S.-based subsidiaries. And finally, the ability to export technology to third-party countries, which has really made it difficult to manage supply chain in areas such as semiconductor manufacturing. In the area of intellectual property law, we continue to see new developments with respect to the area of patent law. In the area of 35 U.S.C. 101, the courts and USPTO continue to diverge on what is considered to be patent eligible. On the area of 35 U.S.C. 112, with respect to enablement, written description, and definiteness, the courts as well as the USPTO seem to be taking a closer look and giving greater scrutiny to the subject matter disclosed in the specification as compared with the recitation of the claims. At the PTAB, the statistics show that the PTAB has become more patent owner friendly. Additionally, NPEs have increased their court filings, and we see an uptick in activity of non-practicing entities. Additionally, in the area of trade secrets, there has also been more litigation, primarily due to the implementation of the Defend Trade Secrets Act, which allows for causes of action on both the state and federal level. In addition to intellectual property and export control compliance, there are a couple of other areas where Japanese companies need to be careful. As you may know, California is a very litigious state, and the rules are constantly changing in California. Japanese companies will want to consider the area of labor and employment if you have operations or employees in California. Also, with respect to doing business over the internet, or if you have customers in California, you'll want to be aware of changes in privacy law.
Those are interesting topics. What recommendations would you have for Japanese companies?
So, since we're at the patent fair, let's try to address some of the issues that we've raised above with respect to the recent patent news. On 35 U.S.C. 101 and 35 U.S.C. 112, it is crucial to have a high-quality original specification that provides the details to support the claims. It's also important to have that translation be a high-quality translation, whether it be Japanese to English for USPTO prosecution or English to Japanese for JPO prosecution. Additionally, it's important to have good prior art compliant with the duty of disclosure so we can reduce the risk of challenge in the PTAB for our own patents. Finally, for the patents of others that may be asserted against Japanese companies, it's very important to have access to good Asia language prior art so we can reduce the risk exposure by being able to find invalidating prior art. How do we do this? Well, we have good business partnerships on both sides of the Pacific Ocean. Procopio and NGB have been working together. We've been discussing all of these kinds of issues with each other and working together on projects to help our clients to address these issues for many years. We look forward to continuing to do so in the future.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me to join here, and thank you so much for your time.
以上、ミク・メータ弁護士へのインタビューでした。ご質問やご相談などございましたらいつでもお気軽に当社までご連絡ください。ありがとうございました。